Welcome back to Stars and Myths. In the previous episode, we discussed Aquila the Eagle. We observed that while the constellation Aquila is the most commonly identified as a bird, its main star, Altair, plays many different roles in mythology. In this episode, we'll explore how an ancient astral story evolved into what's called today the Chinese Valentine's Day tradition. Let me tell you the story of the weaver Maiden and the cowherd. A poor cowherd meets and falls in love with a celestial being, with the daughter of the queen of the sky who weaves the sky and the clouds. They married, and for a time they were a happy family on earth with 2 children. But their union was discovered by the queen mother. She forced her daughter to return to heaven, leaving the cowherd behind on earth with their 2 children. He was desperate to rejoin her. So seeing his grief, a magical ox offered a solution. He told the cowherd to take its hide after its death, a sacrifice that would allow him to fly to the sky. With his 2 children, the cowherd ascended, and with his step, the story shifted from earth to heaven. Out of pity, the 2 are allowed to meet once a year in the sky. Some birds, magpies, build a bridge so that they can cross the Milky Way, separating Vega from Altair. Every year, a festival in China celebrates romantic love and commemorates the story of that cowherd and the weaver girl. The festival is on the 7th day of the 7th lunar month. Now let's look at the sky. In traditional Chinese astronomy, Altair is the cowherd in the ox mentioned, and Vega is the weaving maiden. It's how these stars are named. Altair is close to the Milky Way, and actually Altair and Vega are on both sides of the Milky Way. You see here a rubbing of a stone carving depicting a weaver with a star above, which is Vega. The weaving girl, Vega, and the ox in the sky are first mentioned in the 8th century BC in a Chinese poem. In later writing around the 2nd century BC, one reads that at the winter solstice at dawn, the sun is in the ox mentioned with Altair, the cowherd, as the main star. And from this writing, we infer an astronomical connection to the solstice. David Pinkney, a Lehigh professor, showed that during the 8th century BC, the line through Vega and Altair crossed the horizon at the sun position at the winter solstice. Let's see this using the stellarium. In this stereographic projection, the straight line passing by Vega and Altair marks the position of the rising sun at the solstice, when the sun is at its further south. You may wonder how stellarium calculates a straight line between 2 stars. Think of the sky as a giant sphere called the celestial sphere. The shortest distance between 2 points on that sphere is an arc of a great circle. Let us project a great circle portion on a flat 2D map using a stereographic projection. The arc is represented as a straight line, and by extending the line between Vega and Altair, we can see exactly where the path would have met the horizon. Crossing with the horizon is marked here as a red point. This concept of projection can feel abstract, and to make it more intuitive, think of the Earth. And here you see a stereographic map centered on the North Pole showing exactly how the globe can be represented on a flat surface using a stereographic projection. And let's come back to the stellarium view. Around 750 BC, the line indicates where the sun rose at the winter solstice. But it didn't last long. Already at the beginning of the Common Era, the error was approximately 8 to 9 days. Nevertheless, the coincidence between the large ox mentioned and the winter solstice lasted for approximately 850 years till 1250 AD. And this entire celestial alignment was a matter of imperial cosmology, a very serious matter. What was happening in the sky had a profound influence on earthly affairs. For a very long time, there was no trace of romance in the sky. That story would develop much later. Let's recall that Altair is in the ox mentioned. The ox in the sky was associated with sacrifice early, with divinatory bones consisting of turtle shells or ox scapula. During the Bronze Age, sacrifice were an almost exclusive right of the emperor. From the Han period to the 6th century, the celebration evolved from a woman's celebration of weaving to one that included wine, fruits, and sacrifice to the weaving maiden and the cowherd. Over time, the story took a romantic turn, culminating in the Qixi celebration, which is held annually on the 7th day of the 7th lunar month, generally in August. The choice of the date is not random. For most of the summer triangle consisting of Vega, Altair, and Deneb is visible high in the sky, never disappearing during the night. In the 21st century, Qixi underwent significant changes, becoming what is often referred to as the Chinese Valentine's Day. A key moment in this romantic tale, as told today, is when the cowherd used the magical ox hide to fly into the heavens. What's fascinating is that this key moment, the idea of using the ox hide to fly, appears only around the end of the 16th century, beginning of the 17th century, during the Ming period, in a novel. This episode became very popular in the 20th century, spreading quickly through books, operas, and folk tales, and becoming a standard part of the story. Let's place the introduction of this motif in a general context by examining a related motif from Ireland. The story is found in the 12th century Irish book of the Dun Cow. In one episode, a diviner sleeps in a bull's hide. He receives in his sleep the vision of how the future legitimate king will manifest itself. So, both in Ireland and in China, the cowhide has a magical function. This map shows the distribution of the motif of a man crawling into a carcass and being carried away by a bird. We've observed various aspects of this motif in ancient culture of Ireland, Mesopotamia with Etana, and China. The man crawling into a carcass translates to the Irish diviner in the bull hide, The Carried Away by a Bird is the Epic of Etana, and the Chinese Cowherd, using the cowhide to fly to the sky in a late version. These are most likely local expressions of a vast ancient mythological complex shared across Eurasia that very recently expanded by becoming part of the standard Chinese version. Summary: a Weaver Girl story has a very deep root in Chinese history and relates to early sky observation. But over the years, the story evolved into a love story, incorporating an ancient motive with a Western Eurasian background. This example demonstrates that even the most cherished stories can transform rapidly depending on the prevailing societal context. The next episode will be about creation stories. And here again, the main reference is if you want to dig into that topic. See you next time. Bye bye.